His enemies would plot to kill him. Prophecy, Psalm 31:13. Fulfillment, Matthew 26:3-4. Have you ever witnessed a man condemned not because of wrongdoing, but because of the jealousy and fear of powerful leaders? Imagine a man whose only crime was healing the sick, raising the dead, and preaching love. But still, his enemies plotted in secret to destroy him. This is not just a story. It is a prophecy foretold hundreds of years before it happened. And skeptics, here's your challenge. If Jesus was not the prophesied Messiah, explain how this ancient prediction came to pass with perfect accuracy. The city of Jerusalem buzzed with tension. The religious leaders, the Pharisees, and the chief priests gathered in the dimly lit chamber of the high priest, Caiaphas. Their expressions were grim, their voices hushed, yet filled with malice. They had a problem, a man named Jesus of Nazareth. He was no ordinary man. His teaching shook the foundations of their authority. Crowds followed him wherever he went, hanging on to his every word. He healed the blind, cast out demons, and even brought the dead back to life. But the greatest offense in the eyes of these leaders? Jesus claimed to be the Son of God. The Pharisees had tried everything to discredit him. They questioned him publicly, hoping to trap him in his words. They accused him of breaking the Sabbath, of blasphemy, of leading the people astray. But none of their schemes worked. His wisdom confounded them, and his miracles only drew more people to him. Fear gripped their hearts, fear of losing control, fear of the Romans taking away their power, fear of the truth he preached. And so they devised a final, sinister plan. "This man must die," one of them whispered. "But not during the feast," another added quickly, glancing at the crowded streets of Jerusalem, filled with Jewish pilgrims for Passover. "The people may riot." They would need a way to capture him secretly, away from the crowds, a betrayal from within. Little did they know, their conspiracy was the exact fulfillment of an ancient prophecy. "For I hear the slander of many, there is terror on every side. They conspire against me and plot to take my life." Psalm 31:13. As the Pharisees schemed, another figure wrestled with a dark decision. Judas Iscariot, one of Jesus' own disciples. The tempter whispered in his ear, feeding his greed, his doubts, his frustrations. And then an opportunity presented itself. He made his way to the chief priests. They looked at him with eager eyes, sensing that their answer had arrived. "What will you give me if I hand him over to you?" Judas asked. They exchanged glances before counting out 30 pieces of silver, the price of betrayal. From that moment, the deal was sealed. Judas watched for the right time, the right place, a moment where Jesus would be alone. And so, the leaders waited, their plan unfolding exactly as they had hoped. But what they did not realize was that everything was happening according to divine prophecy. As Jesus sat with his disciples at the Last Supper, he spoke words that made their hearts sink. "One of you will betray me." The room fell silent. The disciples looked at each other, confusion and sorrow in their eyes. "Is it I, Lord?" they asked one by one. Jesus looked directly at Judas, his gaze full of sorrow. "What you do quickly." Judas left into the night. The wheels of prophecy had turned, and there was no stopping it now. That same night, in the Garden of Gethsemane, Judas arrived with a company of soldiers. He walked up to Jesus and, with a kiss, betrayed the Son of God into the hands of his enemies. The religious leaders had their victory, or so they thought. The prophecy was fulfilled. The chief priests and the elders of the people assembled in the palace of the high priest, whose name was Caiaphas, and they plotted to arrest Jesus in some sly way and kill him. Matthew 26:3-4. But what they meant for evil, God used for good. Jesus' death was not the end. It was the beginning of salvation. Challenge to skeptics. This prophecy in Psalm 31:13 was written hundreds of years before Jesus walked the earth. Yet every detail came true in his betrayal and arrest. How could a man orchestrate his own betrayal, the conspiracy against him, and his execution, all to align perfectly with an ancient prophecy? Final call to action. This story is not just history, it is your story. Jesus was betrayed, arrested, and crucified for you, but death could not hold him. If this truth has challenged you, don't ignore it. Like, share, and subscribe for more Bible stories and prophecies fulfilled in Jesus. Comment your thoughts below. What do you think about this prophecy? The truth is undeniable. The Messiah has come. Will you accept him?